So now we're live, so people should, and people are starting to come into the room.
Great.
And hopefully my little Larky disappeared, so you don't see that square, right?
I see Larky.
Okay.
I would love to see a list of participants as they come in. Can we do that?
So yeah, if you go up to the top and click on participants, it should open up the a list for you. So you should see panelists and attendees.
Yeah, see, I don't see my panelist thing anymore.
Oh no, you might be in the attendees, that's why.
I might be what?
There's two little tabs in the participant box, the panelists and attendees. So right now we have 8 people and it's growing as more people come in the room.
Oh, okay, I see.
So good morning, everybody. I'm Franklin Escobedo. I'm the Community Services Director here in Larkspur at the Larkspur Library. Thank you for joining us. We'll start in a few minutes. Today we're here with UC Master Gardeners, Dawniele, Richardson-Pasha, and Catherine Wolfers. If you haven't signed up already, make sure you sign up for part 2, which is going to be on September 26th at 11 a.m., which we'll be looking at flowers, fruits, and seeds. So, and we hope to have a little something you could pick up at the library if we coordinate it right. So, right?
Right. Hopefully.
So today, this is made possible by the Friends of the Library and the UC Master Gardeners of Marin and the Commons Foundation. We'll also be recording today's event, so if for some reason you get bumped out or you lose your connection, we'll be recording this and putting it up on the library's YouTube channel. And you can find all of our programming that we've done recently on our YouTube channel. There's only a few of them that we weren't allowed to record. Today, we're actually not going to use a Q&A, but we're going to use the chat box to ask questions. So just find your little chat box. And then don't forget, we also are offering curbside service at the library Tuesday through Saturday from 12 to 4. But just check, since the air quality has been really bad, double check to make sure we're open, because yesterday we had to close because the air quality was really bad. So, but again, welcome to our garden talk with Dig It, Grow It, Eat It, Part 1 with roots, stems, and leaves with UC Master Gardeners Dawniele, Richardson-Pasha, and Catherine Wolfers.
All right. Hi, everybody. Should we introduce ourselves and get going?
So here, do you want me to launch the poll?
Yeah, let's do the poll first. We'd love to see who's joining us today.
So take a moment, everybody, to fill out what part for, if you're a student, if you're not a student, and if you're a student, what grade are you in? So. Are you seeing the results too?
I don't see any results. Do you, Dawniele?
No.
Do you see results, Franklin?
Yeah, I'm seeing the, I guess it's only me. Here, let me make you guys co-hosts.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. It says we're co-hosts.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. I see the results. Oh, good. It looks like we have a few students, equal amount of teachers, lots of master gardeners, yay. And just lots of general library patrons. Welcome, everybody. Students, let's see what kind of grades.
Oh, great.
Oh, good. So lots of third graders, lots of middle schoolers. All right, welcome everybody.
Okay, I think everybody's answered. So we still have a few more people coming in. So if you haven't filled out the polls, we're wanting to know who's here today. So take a moment to fill out the polls. It's who's joining us today, and if you're a student, please share the grade that you're in. So, and if you're helping a little one, fill it out for them too.
Kat, should I mention the snack?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah, while we're waiting for everyone to fill in the poll, we are going to do a DGE, Dig It, Grow It, Eat It tradition, and that is to taste fruits and vegetables. So if you have anything at your house that is a fruit or a vegetable, it's a good time to grab one and put it where you can eat it later, not right now. And it doesn't matter what it is, just as long as it's a fruit or a vegetable.
Okay, so I'm going to end the poll, guys. Thanks for joining us. And then I'm going to go quiet, and when you need me, just let me know.
All right, thanks, Franklin. All right, welcome everybody. Dawniele, are you okay if I start off introducing?
Absolutely.
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
I can't seem to get rid of the poll. Hopefully, there we go, there it disappeared. So hi everyone, my name is Catherine Wolfers, and kids around Marin County call me Farmer Cat. I have taught in a lot of different public and private schools all around the Bay Area. I'm a teacher and I'm also a garden educator, and I'm also a master gardener. And most recently, I was teaching and managing the garden over at Edna McGuire Elementary School in Mill Valley, but I live in Corte Madera. And I have two daughters who attend Redwood High School right now, and they both went through Hall Middle School and Cove School and Neil Cummins, and I helped out in the gardens at all of those places. And I have my own garden that I don't take care of as much as I take care of school gardens, but I do have a small home garden where I grow edibles.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name's Dawniele Pasha, Dawniele Richardson-Pasha. I've been a master gardener since 2014, and since then have been involved in school and community gardens throughout Marin County. I've been involved as a mentor at the Canal Community Garden. I currently garden and help out at the Larkspur Community Garden. I volunteered at various school gardens in the county, either managing them or coming to schools and giving some garden education through the Dig It, Grow It, Eat It program. And also, as of recent, I was a educator over at Park School Elementary in Mill Valley for teaching K-5 students. And I am a gardener at heart. I have a home garden, and you guys get to see that a little bit today. We took videos because the internet connection isn't so great out in the garden, and also the air quality is not so great. So we took some videos for you. I'm also a mother of two boys. One's at Hall Middle School right now, and one's over at Redwood. Distant learning. So welcome.
All right, so I am gonna start sharing my screen, which means that Dawniele and I are going to go away, and you're going to be looking at a PowerPoint for a while, and then we will come back later towards the end when we do our tasting. And let me just hide myself if I can. Here we go. And I'm going to share my screen with you. And we will get started. So welcome to Dig It, Grow It, Eat It, Part 1, Roots, Stems, and Leaves.
So I wanted to talk about a little bit just the Dig It, Grow It, Eat It program. It is a program that's been going on with Marin Master Gardeners, and it was created by a Marin Master Gardener, Anne Marie Walker, and launched in 2014 at the Marin Art and Garden Center, who has been our host for our 2-day field trip. So actually it's a one-day field trip, but we do it twice within a year. And we would have schools come and visit, typically 3rd grade and sometimes 4th. And they would come and visit the Marin Art and Garden Center and learn in an outdoor setting. And they would go ahead and go to 5 different stations and learn all about, you know, digging in the soil, planting, growing, eating edibles, pollination, seed science and soil and all sorts of good stuff. One of our components of this program is plant parts and their function, which we are focusing on today. And we are only focusing on the roots, stems, and leaves. So we're really excited to have you guys here.
Right.
So before we get started, let's talk about, we keep saying Marin Master Gardener, and you might notice at the bottom of your screen, it says the University of California. Well, Master Gardeners, we are trained volunteers. We took a big old class and had to pass it, and it's through the University of California Cooperative Extension. And we answer all sorts of questions on, gee, what's wrong with my plant? What's eating my plant? And we help try to give you research-based answers, and we do it through IPM, which is Integrated Pest Management, which means we're trying to attack the problem through all different angles. We also give advice on how to save water through our water walks, and also sustainable landscaping. We've had some really interesting talks like that. And we've also been seen at farmers markets. It's a little different year this year, but Marin Master Gardeners is very much active and reaching out to the community to try to complete our mission, which is to share information that comes down from the University of California with everybody in the public.
All right, good job. Okay, so let's get started with the presentation part of today. And first of all, let's talk about what we're going to cover. And like Dawniele mentioned, so Dig It, Grow It, Eat It started out as a field trip where kids would come to Marin Art and Garden Center. And if you see that picture that's on your screen, that's a poster that we would usually hold up for the students to show them all of the 6 different plant parts. We are just going to be focusing on 3 of those today. So we're going to be talking about roots, stems, and leaves. And each one of those plant parts has a special job and a function. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to show you examples of all of those. And we'll have pictures to show you, and then we've got some great videos where you can actually take a little virtual walk through Dawniele's garden to see those roots, stems, and leaves growing. And then we are going to taste the rainbow. So hopefully you have gone to the kitchen and grabbed a quick snack, or you had somebody at home go grab a snack for you, a fruit or a veggie that we will eat later. Don't eat it now. And we will eat it together, and we will talk about what we are eating and what color of the rainbow we are eating. And then at the very end, if there's time, we've got book lists to share with you, and we even have some fun home activities that you can do. Okay. All right, so moving along to the first part of our presentation, we want to go over the parts of a plant. So most plants have 6 parts. And if you look at this picture, it's a painting of a tomato plant. You'll see the small cherry tomatoes growing on the plant. And starting at the bottom, where you would plant that tomato seed, you can see how the roots have grown. And it travels up the stem, and then the stem grows and branches out and starts growing leaves. And then flowers would form. And if those flowers got pollinated, tomatoes would grow. And then inside those tomatoes, you would find seeds to grow a new tomato plant. So each one of those plant parts I just talked about has a special job. And we're going to talk about the roots and the stems and the leaves in detail in just a minute. But the last thing I want to mention before we move on is we eat all of these different plant parts. Now, not necessarily of this tomato plant. We don't eat all the parts of a tomato plant. You know, we just eat the tomatoes. But as you will see in our presentation today, we do eat all plant parts of different plants. All right, so before we start talking about the roots, we are going to go into Dawniele's garden, and we are going to take a look at some that are growing. This video was taken yesterday, actually. Here we go. Okay. All right, so let's start with roots. Now, roots are the anchor of a plant. So they are actually what keeps a plant in place. And their special job is they have this unique ability to take moisture, water out of the soil and nutrients from the soil, and they bring it to the plant. And those nutrients are what makes the plant thrive and grow into a strong and healthy plant. So in our video, we saw, what did we see, Dawniele? We saw carrot.
Yeah, we first saw the anchoring roots of that giant sunflower that is at least 8 feet, if not more, you know, tall. And the plant is being held upright by the root system. So I was trying to show the anchor. And then we saw beets and a carrot.
That's right. Oh, and the really interesting thing about the carrot, if you looked closely at the very end, were all those little hairy, fuzzy things along the stem of the carrot. We don't often see those when we buy carrots in the grocery store because they've been scrubbed and those tiny little hair-like roots fall off, but that's the root of the carrot. So not just the part that we eat, but those tiny hair-like structures are what are grabbing the moisture and the nutrients from the soil. Okay, Franklin, can we open up the chat and have our friends who are watching type in what their favorite roots are, or maybe it's something that we watched in the video we talked about, and they can enter their answers into the chat space. Can we do that?
Yeah, they should be able to. They're starting to come in now. So
Ooh, lots of carrot there.
There we go. I love it. Awesome. Ooh, beetroots. Lots of beets. Normally when I teach my classes, not too many people say beets. I love beets.
Well, Catherine, is beet your favorite root?
Is beet my favorite root? Possibly. It might be. What about you, Dawniele?
Yeah, it's mine too.
I especially like all the different colors of beets. So what we're looking at on the screen are golden beets. You've probably seen they come in pink and red, and there's even some pink and white striped ones that I enjoy eating. Oh, we didn't mention it. There's some rainbow carrots in this picture as well. Oh, parsnips. Somebody said parsnips.
Yeah, the thing I love about beets is that you can juice them, you can shred them on a salad, eat them raw that way, or you can roast them or even steam them. There's just so many yummy things you can do with them.
That's true. You know, you brought up roasting. It completely changes the flavor, doesn't it? And I've been eating raw beets in my smoothies in the morning time. Yeah, it's just, they're versatile, and yeah, the flavor can change depending upon how you cook it or not.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody for sharing. I'm going to move on to the next slide and just show you. So we talked about almost all of these from the chat: carrots, beets, radishes. Oh, nobody mentioned ginger. Nobody mentioned turnips. Those are other examples of roots that we eat. There's also onions and potatoes on the bottom of the list with question marks. So if you're wondering why we put question marks there, we often have people say that their favorite roots are onions or potatoes. And while they do grow underground, like the rest of these roots, technically onions are bulbs and potatoes are tubers. So we put them on the list with question marks just to sort of show that they're different than the rest of them, but technically they are not roots. And these photos are just pictures from gardens that I've worked in and where the kids have harvested turnips that we grew and lots of carrots. All right, we're going to go back now into Dawniele's garden. And we are going to take a look this time at stems. Okay. All right, so let's talk about stems. I'm curious, when you guys started watching that video, if you knew that that first stem you were going to be looking at was celery. So you probably saw Dawniele's hand kind of digging through those leaves to find what was underneath, and that was actually a celery plant growing. So looks quite different at first, I think, from when you see it in the store where most of the leaves are cut off and what you're buying is actually the stem of the plant. So stems have a really important job. Stems hold the plant upright and they hold the leaves on the plant. And I'm going to move my cursor to kind of show you what I'm talking about. So you can look at this picture of rainbow Swiss chard on the screen, and it looks like it's just been watered. You can tell that the soil is a little bit darker over here. Now imagine that the roots we just talked about, whose job it is to grab that moisture and bring it to the plant. Now the stem's job is they take those nutrients and that moisture and they have an elevator-like chamber, inside their stem. So the water travels up what's called the xylem, goes up through a chamber through the stem, and it travels into another chamber called the phloem that brings that moisture back down into all of the leaves of the plant. So the xylem and the phloem, just like an elevator, up and down through the stem of the plant. Okay. All right, so let's open up that chat again, because I'm curious to hear from people. We saw, let's see, celery, Dawniele, in your garden. Then we looked at some green onions.
Yeah, we looked at a little green onion, and what's interesting is that that certain stems are also the leaf. So in that case, that's like a double whammy there on that green onion.
Right. Oh, and then we looked at zucchini stems. Now this is another example of a plant where we don't eat the stems and the leaf of the zucchini, but even though we don't eat that part of the zucchini, the stem has a super important job, and it's bringing water to that plant so that the fruit, the zucchini, can grow.
And also, if I might add.
Please do.
Those stems are holding those leaves up towards the sun, and they just kind of help support the leaf and just make sure the leaf has maximum exposure.
Right. Awesome. And we're going to talk about leaves next. But before we do that, I would love to open up the chat again and have people type in their favorite stem to eat. Could be the celery we already talked about. We see the picture of chard.
My favorite.
Yeah, what's your favorite, Dawniele? Oops, somebody just listed my favorite. Asparagus. Oh, rhubarb. That's one you don't see too often. Rhubarb is an important plant to talk about because we only eat the stems of rhubarb because the rest of the plant is toxic.
I do love rhubarb too. Wow, asparagus. There's a lot of fans out there of stems.
Yep, more rhubarb. Oh, you know what? Somebody is saying, we can't see what everyone else is typing. You know, I think that's just a product of the way that the chat room is set up. So I apologize that not everybody can see what everyone's typing, but I'm talking as I'm seeing them. So we see asparagus and chard and celery and rhubarb.
Somebody said, I saw something on TV and they used the stems of the zucchini sauteed.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting.
I'll have to try that. You know, we talked about beets a little while ago when we were talking about roots, and beets is one of those really unique plants where it's sort of a triple whammy plant. We can eat the root, we can eat the stems. I love sauteed beet stems, and the leaves. So maybe the zucchini stems might taste a little bit like a beet stem. I don't know.
Someone said green onions as well.
Yum. Okay. All right, looks like it's slowing down in the chat. So we are going to move on to leaves. And Dawniele, we have another video, don't we, of going into your garden?
Yes.
Let me get back onto that screen. Oh, before we do that, oh, here's just a couple more pictures. And here's everything. Everything was pretty much listed in the chat. Oh, except bok choy.
And kohlrabi.
And kohlrabi. And broccoli. Broccoli is another one I was going to put a question mark by because I mentioned earlier I have two daughters, both at Redwood. Well, one of them only eats the stems of the broccoli, and the other one only eats the tops of the broccoli, which is actually the flower. We're going to talk about that in 2 weeks at the next, at the part 2 of this. But a lot of people eat broccoli stems as well. All right, so now we're going to go into Dawniele's garden again to look at leaves. Here we go. All right, wow, I love that video. Dawniele, we saw lots of different kinds of leaves in that one. Can you tell us a little bit about what we saw?
Yeah, we saw, we started off with some kale, different types of kale, celery leaves, which can definitely be eaten and used for seasoning, romaine lettuce, and then we saw a bunch of herbs. We saw some basil and rosemary and tea herbs. So I wanted to just take a moment and talk about herbs and spices, a lot of which are leaves. And they're wonderful to flavor your food and or sip as tea. You can dry them and sip them as tea. The three that I showed you in the garden, the one with the red flower was a pineapple sage, and then we saw some scented geranium, and then we ended with some lemon verbena, which is one of my very favorites. And what I love about herbs is that you don't need a big garden to grow herbs in. You can grow them extremely easy in a pot, on a windowsill, on a patio. You don't need a lot of space. And actually, it's probably smart not to plant certain herbs in a big garden, or else they will take over, like mint or rosemary or lemon balm, and they'll just kind of, you know, almost invade the whole garden. So they're a lot of fun just to grow in your home, and they don't, you know, they don't need a lot of room.
Great, awesome. So this picture that you guys are looking at on the screen is one more type of leaf. It's such an amazing picture. We wanted to include it. This is a Savoy cabbage that was actually grown in the Cove Garden. And the kids made a big salad out of it. So cabbage is one more type of leaf. And leaves, I think, have the most important job of all the plant parts. And their job is they make food for the plant, which I find so amazing. We have to grow our own food or go to the grocery store to buy food to help us grow, but plants make their own food. And they do it through a process called photosynthesis. And it's a big scientific word. Dawniele, can you say photosynthesis really fast 3 times?
Oh man. Okay, you try. Photosynthesis, photosynthesis, photosynthesis.
Good job. I do that with my students all the time. It kind of sinks that big word into their brain if they haven't heard of it before. But it's a process where they take energy from the sun and they convert it into food for the plant. And it's kind of a miracle, actually, I think, that they can do that. And Dawniele is going to talk a little bit more about photosynthesis in another video in just a minute. But before we do that, let's open up the chat room again. If we didn't mention your favorite leaf that you like to eat, go ahead and type it in the chat. We'd be curious to see what leaves everybody likes to eat. Could be anything from, oh, somebody's mentioning parsley. Yes, we want to talk about parsley, kale. That's probably my favorite.
Kale and basil, spinach. Yes, I love spinach.
Oh, amaranth greens. I've got an amaranth growing in my garden, and I didn't think about eating the greens. I'm gonna have to try that. Arugula, spicy arugula, yum. Beet leaves, yep. Another spinach. You know, I probably put spinach and kale in smoothies for my kids almost every morning, and that's how they get the majority of their leafy greens. Blend it up with other fruits and tastes yummy.
Kat, what's your favorite leaf to eat?
Oh man, probably kale or just lettuce. Did anybody mention lettuce? I don't think so.
No one mentioned lettuce.
Which is kind of funny because, you know, I have lettuce every day. Oh, somebody said they did.
Someone said I did.
Yep. Oh, purslane. That's another good one. All right. Oh, I love to see everybody's ideas and things that they like to eat. Thanks for sharing. Ooh, mint topped on the smoothies. I'll have to try that. All right, thanks everybody for sharing. I'm going to go back one last time into Dawniele's garden. There's no music this time. She's going to talk over what we're seeing.
All right, so we're going to look at how the size of leaves, also correspond with the size of the fruit that they produce. So this is a tomato and a little cherry tomatoes, kind of small leaves. And here's a bigger tomato leaf. And holy moly, there's a giant tomato. That's a beefsteak tomato. And then we're going to look at some other leaves, and I'll just let you guys kind of watch this. But I wanted to talk a little bit about photosynthesis, and you can imagine that the size of the leaf, you know, it's got to create a lot of energy. So leaves are like solar panels. They absorb the sun's energy, and they convert that energy along with carbon dioxide, and they take in water and they convert it in a chemical exchange process that then they release oxygen, which we breathe in. There I am. Sorry, those zucchini leaves are huge, and this is a really big plant, and zucchini leaves, they produce a lot of fruit. So the leaves need to be pretty big, and also zucchini can grow really, really big. So one thing I wanted to mention, we can break down the word photosynthesis. Photo, which means light, and synthesis, which means putting together. So it's basically just describing how, you know, the plant goes ahead and it draws up the sunlight, the sun energy, takes in carbon dioxide and water, converts it into glucose, which is sugar for the plant. That's the plant food, and also releases oxygen. It's a kind of, you know, really amazing process that the leaves do for us. So the next time you walk by a leaf, maybe say thank you, and maybe breathe on it too, because you'll be giving it some carbon dioxide. So.
Thanks, Dawniele.
Sure.
I realized I had just skipped over this page before we went to your video, but I enjoyed actually seeing them in your garden more than I see pictures on the screen. But here's just some examples of leaves that we eat. And I think everybody mentioned all of these somewhere in the chat, with the exception of maybe bok choy. So let me advance past the video. Okay, so here we go. We're going to start shifting gears in our presentation. So we just talked about the roots, we talked about the stems, we talked about the leaves. And if anybody has any more questions about any of those things we talked about, please, you can type your question in the chat box, and then we will be monitoring that. And then at the end, we'll hopefully have time to answer those questions. But right now we're going to shift gears and we're going to start getting ready to taste. So we're going to be tasting that fruit or veggie snack that we asked you guys to grab early on. And don't eat it yet. Before we do that, Dawniele is going to talk a little bit about this amazing picture that you're looking at on the screen and what it means to eat the rainbow.
Yeah, so what we mean by eat the rainbow is not eating a bag of M&Ms or a bag of Skittles. We're talking about eating a rainbow of colors in your fruits and vegetables. This picture is a picture of a snack that we would bring to schools, or if you came to a DGE at the Marin Art and Garden Center, we would go ahead and we would provide a rainbow snack. So we wanted to try to incorporate that. So why do we want to eat the rainbow of fruits and veggies? Well, fruits and vegetables contain vitamins and minerals and fiber, which are all good for you. And they also have lots of chemicals inside them that are called phytonutrients or phytochemicals. And these chemicals actually, we're able to, when we eat the food, convert the phytochemicals into vitamins for our body that help benefit our body. So I'm going to talk about one. There's a lot out there. There's like 2,500. But I'm going to talk about one that maybe a lot of us have heard about, and that's beta carotene. And so beta carotene is found in yellow and orange foods and also red foods, like a red pepper or pumpkins, carrots. And what our body does with that beta carotene when we eat an orange carrot or a red pepper or some pumpkin is it converts it into vitamin.
It sounds like Dawniele, like your sound might have gone out.
Or not, when you eat different colors, it corresponds
You're
to
back.
health. Oh,
That's okay. You cut out a little bit right at the end of talking about beta carotene, but I think I don't think people missed much.
okay. So you did hear me say that beta carotene, our bodies convert it to vitamin A.
Yep.
Okay, great. So yellow, orange, red foods help with converting beta carotene that's in those veggies and fruit, and convert it into vitamin A that then go ahead and support like our immune system, our eyesight. So every color that you eat actually helps a different part of the body.
Great. All right. So before we start eating, we're just going to test your knowledge about what Dawniele just talked about. We have another poll question, right, Franklin?
Yeah, here, I'm going to launch it right now.
Awesome. It's just kind of fun. You guys can take a stab at it.
Do you want to read it, Kat?
Sure. It says beta carotene, alpha carotene, lycopene, and anthocyanin are what? Superheroes? Vitamins? Types of carrots? Or, oops, that's a typo on my part. Phytochemicals.
Not photo.
Oops.
That's a typo. So phyto. So.
Oh yeah, break it down for us, Dawniele.
So phyto is a Greek word for plant.
Right. And even though I had a typo, it looks like everybody's getting this one correct. Now, Franklin, can they see the results of the poll?
Here, let me share the results. So, poll.
Okay.
And everybody should be able to see it now.
Oh, I see. Okay. So there you go.
I kind of want to say that the people who answered vitamins, I mean,
it's kind of tricky. That was a little trick I threw in there.
Yeah, because they did understand that, these very technical words up there, beta carotene, alpha carotene, they are phytochemicals that your body converts into vitamins. So I'm gonna give credit to the vitamins, but I do like the people who said superheroes. I mean, they are superheroes, right?
Well, exactly. I think so too. Maybe there's a little bit of truth to every answer here, because, right, the phytochemical beta carotene is what makes different types of carrots, gives them their color, right? Okay, so we can probably get rid of the poll. Can everyone hear me? I think I might have cut out.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay,
good.
Great. Thank you. All right. So let's move on to tasting. Okay, everybody, I want you to meet Rainbow Joe. This picture that you see is a big drawing. You can kind of see the scale of it next to that kid's arm. It's a big drawing that we show students when they come to the Marin Art and Garden Center for the field trips, or we go into schools for the DGE program. Dawniele and I show this drawing with students that we teach in school as a way to understand just what those different colors from those phytochemicals, what they benefit in the body. So you can take a look at all the different colors that make up Rainbow Joe. You can see all the red, the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue, the purple. And you can see what part of the body that benefits and how it benefits. So go ahead and snack away. If you guys have your snack out, go ahead and eat it while we talk about each one of the colors. I've got a carrot here. Oh, let's take our.
I'm sorry, I already started eating.
No, please. I have to find my video. There I am. Okay. So I have two different carrots. I have a purple one and I have a yellow one. So I know that as I'm eating, right, the orange from my orange carrot, if I look at Rainbow Joe, I can see that it's good for vision, it's good for eye health, and you can see that that orange line goes all the way around Rainbow Joe's body. It's good for your skin. And it tastes good.
That sounds crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
I have some blueberries. I have some blueberries.
So, go ahead. I think the chat room's open. You can share with us what you're eating and maybe what color it is. So red foods help your heart. Good for your skin health. What do you have there that's red, Dawniele?
I have a dehydrated strawberry.
Orange and yellow, we just talked about. That beta carotene. Green foods. There's lots of green in Rainbow Joe.
Let's talk about green.
Green. Green foods strengthen bones. Don't forget your teeth. Bones. They're good for your gut health, your digestion, your immunity, so it helps you, prevent you from getting sick. Oh, somebody put an artichoke heart that they're eating. Yum. Golden kiwis. You know, I just bought some golden kiwis the other day. It was the first time I'd ever seen them in the store.
I bought some too. They were delicious.
They were delicious. Gator plums, guava, yum. So purple foods, we don't always think of eating purple and blue foods. I happen to have purple cabbage. Some people call it red cabbage. Purple cabbage. Purple is good for your memory. It's good for aging. You could put blueberries in that category. What else is purple and blue? Grapes?
Yeah, grapes.
Blueberries, I'm seeing in the chat. Pears. Somebody's saying, what about plums? There's lots of different colors of plums. They range from yellow to pink to dark blue, purple. And then white and tan, we don't often think of that as being part of the rainbow, but we include white and tan foods that help lower your cholesterol. They help your gut. Things like mushrooms.
Potatoes. Popcorn.
Popcorn. Oh, I do have popcorn. Thanks for mentioning popcorn.
Sure.
Oh, yep. Somebody else mentioned corn, potatoes, mushrooms, plums. Thanks for sharing, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your snack. Now, hopefully, if you join us in 2 weeks when we do part 2, we talk about flowers, fruits, and seeds. We would love to be able to offer a snack at the library that you could come pick up during pickup time. I think we might have popcorn or sunflower seeds, something you can take home and have for the snack together. Cauliflower. Somebody mentioned cauliflower. That's something we didn't talk about at all today. Kind of like broccoli, right? We can eat the stem and the flower.
So we can, we're going to do a taste. We're going to do a tasting again in 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about Rainbow Joe again, because not everybody, you know, there'll be maybe some different people joining us, but also we're going to do a different type of tasting. Kat, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, we are going to do what's called mindful tasting. So, you know, a lot of times we just, you know, I was asking you to eat as we talked, so I was kind of taking away almost from the experience of really eating. So next time we're going to do a mindful taste where we're actually going to be taking a long time doing it and thinking about it, smelling it.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, describing. I won't give too much of it away because I don't want to spoil it. Okay, so I'm just checking time. And if we want to get to questions, let me just, okay, here we go. Well, we're pretty much at the end anyway. So I wanted to sum up what we've talked about today. We talked about, first of all, the plant parts, of how most most plants have 6 parts, and each one of those parts has a very special job. We started with the roots and how they anchor the plant and they draw up nutrients and moisture. Then we moved on to talking about stems and how their elevator-like structure of the xylem and the phloem takes that moisture up to the plant and distributes it out to the leaves. And then we talked about the leaves and how the leaves have that amazing job of making food for the rest of the plant through photosynthesis. And then we had our tasting, and we talked about eating the rainbow and how each one of the colors that's in the plant part that we eat contains phytochemicals, and that's what gives it its color, and that's what gives us the health benefits from those different colors. So,
Kat, I do see some questions in the Q&A, which I wanted to answer.
Okay, hang on one second. Oh, well, here we are. We're at question time.
Yeah.
The next session, someone is already asking, that is in 2 weeks.
September 26th, I believe.
Yep, same time. And you can register for that. And I actually have a question for everybody before we end.
No master gardeners may answer.
Yeah, no master. Right. The question is, what are we looking at right now? What is this? If you know it, or even have a guess, maybe type it in the chat. What are we looking at, and what part of the plant is it that we eat?
Oh, so
Not a beet, not a turnip. Good guess. Someone's guessing that we eat the root. This is a trick picture. It looks like a root, doesn't it? It looks like, oh, somebody said rutabaga. Oh, there it is. Anne got it right.
ding, ding. Good job, Anne.
It's kohlrabi. Kohlrabi, and it is a vegetable that not a lot of people eat. I rarely see it in the grocery store, but you do see it. There's green kohlrabi, which is what this is, and there's purple kohlrabi. And you can eat the leaves. The leaves are what you see there on the right-hand side of the photo. You can eat the leaves, but it's most known for the stem. That's actually the swollen stem of the plant. So that does not grow up above the ground. And you can see right here, this is where the roots attach. So kind of like the soil line would be right here. It's really fun to watch it grow. So you see the big swollen stem right above the soil line, and then from there, the leaves grow out the top. But this is the part that we eat. It's very tasty.
So Anne is saying, in Washington, one friend of mine grew one that was 8 pounds.
What?
That sounds big.
Yeah, these were all grown. I think this was grown in Edna's garden. We had a big bumper crop of kohlrabi. I think it was 2 years ago this photo was taken. We grew both kinds of kohlrabi, and each one of those softball-like, I would say it's about the size of a softball. They probably weighed a pound or more, but 8 pounds. Wow. I just saw it at Whole Foods the other day. And I've even seen it kohlrabi at Safeway. So
keep your eye out.
Yeah.
So there are a couple other questions.
Okay.
Someone just, which seeds this come from? Someone wanted to know how they grow this, the kohlrabi.
Oh, okay. Well, I grew this from a seed packet that I believe I got at Sloat Garden Center or some garden center, you know, just a regular packet of seeds. And it's surprising how small kohlrabi seeds are. They're pretty small, and they grow into these pretty big plants.
What time of year would you plant it, Kat?
You can plant them in the fall and the spring, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can get twice a year, you can get a good crop.
So someone asks, is ginger a root?
It is.
It is, yes. I have some ginger right here.
Okay, and then isn't parsley like a leaf?
Yes.
It is. Yeah. Dawniele, do you have a sample of parsley? You know, it has a very thin, fine stem, and then the leaf could be flat, Flat
Yeah,
Italian flat parsley, could be curly, you know, but a lot of times when I'm chopping some up for a recipe, I'm chopping up some stems in there too.
Yeah, here's a plant that came out of my garden this morning. I wanted to show you guys all the way from the root, stem, and leaves. And you can definitely eat the leaves and the stem of celery. And then I did have some ginger too. Someone asked if this was a root. And this is very spicy and delicious.
I just had some in a smoothie this morning. Very good.
Yeah. Okay, are there any more questions?
Looks like the questions are sort of slowing down. We have a couple more minutes. I did want to share a book list. Most of these are picture books, actually, that I read to my TK kids, my kinders, my first graders, all the way up to 5th and 6th graders. I love picture books for all ages. I'm guessing most of these are probably found in the library. But these are picture books that we use with kids. And these are just our references that we use to put together our presentation. I think that's all I have.
That is.
It is.
Should we talk about the fun at-home activity?
Sure, we have just a couple minutes.
Okay. So something fun that everyone can do right out of the refrigerator is sprout things from cutting. So once again, you don't have to have a garden. So for example, I don't know if you guys can see, this is just the top of a beet. So I had bought some beets at the store and I cut it here. And then I used the stems and the leaves in a smoothie. And then I ate the bottom half of the root and I cut it here too. And then what happens is you put it in a little dish of water and it starts growing the stems and the leaves again. And so you could always put this, you know, in a dish and you can just grow them. They grow pretty fast and you can do that with other things too.
So Dawniele, those leaves were not there, correct?
Correct. I had cut them
those have
all.
grown since you cut it.
Yes. And
Okay.
so here is a stalk of celery that I bought at the store. And then, you know, I cut it off, right? And then I ate all the stems. And then I had this little bit left that we typically, you know, just throw in our compost. And then, so I had the little bit and I stuck it in water and then out sprouted a whole new little celery plant.
I just think that's amazing. There's some people in the chat, Dawniele, saying that they're growing leeks and green onions that way.
That is such an easy thing to do too, and I love it. You just take that little bit of the green onion. I don't have any samples here. You could put it directly into soil and then it starts shooting up another green onion. And you could just cut it and then put it on your baked potato or whatever you want to do. This is, I want to show you this one. This is another celery, pretty big. I started this a few weeks ago. And look at all these roots.
Wow.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go transfer it into dirt and hopefully I'll have a celery plant. And you can do this with, you know, you could do this with lettuce too. Let me show you this. I have this one in a little bunny, little bunny. And this is just a little kind of, now we had that heat wave, guys, so it kind of wiped out my plants inside the house a little bit. But it was just a little kind of end of a romaine lettuce. And I just cut it, and then I put that little bit that looks completely dead in a jar of water, or not a jar. I normally use these little Ziploc guys and just set it in and it started growing new leaves so then I can eat the leaves. So just kind of something fun that, you know, you can do easily with just the remnants of your veggies, you know, that we typically put in the compost.
Mm-hmm. I have a rabbit and I have chickens at home. So I typically, when I cut off the ends or the tops, I give them to the animals, but I might have to try this. I've always wanted to try it.
So somebody's asking us if we could put links in the chat. I'm not exactly sure.
Franklin, can we do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure which links they're looking for.
Oh.
Are they looking for the links on the website? So
Well, yeah. Well, actually, everybody will get a follow-up email with the link to the recording and the links to the Marin Master Gardener's website and the upcoming events.
Oh, great. So all this, yeah, we'll just be there.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Well, I think that's all we have.
Do we want to open it up and can we open it up and see our participants and see if any?
Does anybody want to come into the panel? Raise your hand and I can bring you in and you can turn your cameras on.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Okay, here's Ashley and Emily.
Should I stop sharing my
Yeah, stop sharing so people can see. So here's T. Peggy and Will.
Oh, hi. Thanks for coming, everybody.
If somebody has a question, you can turn off your mic and you can ask a question. Ashley, if you happen to have a question, or Peggy, good to see you.
Wouldn't want to miss it. I do miss our actual events.
I do too. It's gonna be a good day when we can all get out there in the garden again together, isn't it? And go back to school, huh? Yep. Well, thanks everybody for spending your Saturday with us. I hope you learned something. Even the adults in the audience, I hope you learned something.
Hi, everybody. So before you go, this is a little part of the homework that they gave us. So you can start your own kitchen garden. You know, she talked about using our scraps to grow some greens. So this is how you do it. Again, thanks for joining us. See you next time.